time in 8 years, and now all of a sudden thinking he's better than a Rock or better than a Hulk Hogan or better than anybody else point blank that has been in the WWE. I refuse to believe or buy into the fact that Brock Lesnar is the guy who's going to carry the WWE for the next 5 or 6 years. I don't even see Brock Lesnar lasting in the WWE 5 or 6 years. I see Brock Lesnar lasting probably about another year and a half, and then Lesnar will probably go back to the UFC or go somewhere else with his career choices. I don't really see Brock Lesnar hanging around in the WWE, and one big thing that makes me believe that Brock Lesnar's not going to be hanging around is how he keeps alluding to the fact that he doesn't want to be in the WWE, and he always leaves after he accomplishes something. He left after he brought the fight to John Cena. He left after he defeated Triple H, and he allows now that he's never coming back. With how much he's referencing that he's never coming back, I just refuse to believe that Brock Lesnar's going to be there for the next 3 years. I'm going to give him a year and a half, probably even sooner than that. We'll see Brock Lesnar leave and never be heard from again. It's just something about Brock Lesnar that I just don't like, and I never will like Brock Lesnar. I never liked him in 2001, 2002 when he was being consistently pushed on the SmackDown brand. I don't like him now after him being gone 8 years, coming back, trying to solidify himself as one of the greatest of all time. You will never hear me say that Brock Lesnar is one of the greatest of all time. You'll never see a point in my radio career where I will, admit to Brock Lesnar being one of the best, because he's not. He hasn't done enough to make me believe that he is the best. And Brock Lesnar was an 8-time WWE champion and a 4-time Intercontinental champion and a multi-time tag champion. I'd believe it. Brock Lesnar, I will give him credit for winning a King of the Ring title in 2002 and a Royal Rumble in 2003. I will give him credit for main eventing and winning at WrestleMania 19 against Kurt Angle, one of the best pure WrestleMania matches for a championship I have seen in the last decade. I will give him that. I will give him credit for doing the shooting star press. Seeing a man of his size and his, presence do a shooting star press, which is something very uncharacteristic of Brock Lesnar, was incredible. That match with Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 19 is up there with the likes of a Bret Hart-Shawn Michaels match or a CM Punk-Chris Jericho match of more recency. I think that, that was an incredible match. I do give Brock Lesnar for accomplishing a lot of stuff that, you probably would never have thought Brock Lesnar would have done. I do give Brock Lesnar credit for winning the WWE Championship at just 21 years of age from The Rock. Nobody else can say that. Brock Lesnar really has done a lot of stuff, and I do give him credit. I do especially give him credit for not being afraid of anybody, more especially here, 8 years after being gone, coming back and picking fights with people like John Cena and Triple H. I do give him credit for that. What I don't give Brock Lesnar credit for is, the things that he says he is that he has never done before. If he would have defeated The Undertaker 4 to 5 times and would have won the championship 8 times, then maybe I would give Brock Lesnar credit for being one of the best. But, then you have the career of Triple H, and his resume definitely speaks for itself. A multi-time WWE and World Champion, a former King of the Ring, Royal Rumble winner. He's done it all. He's faced legends, Hall of Famers, icons, former champions, and he's gotten the better of a lot of them. Who can say they've beaten stars like The Rock, Steve Austin, The Undertaker? I mean, who can say that? Triple H is the only guy who can say that. So, you really can't argue or dispute the success of somebody like Triple H. And to say that Brock Lesnar has had a more dominant and superior career over Triple H would be, an act of stupidity on anybody's part, not just a radio show host or a columnist, but any wrestling fan out there, anybody who buys into the fact that Brock Lesnar is a dominant force in the WWE. You're right in the way of saying that Brock Lesnar is dominant, but to say that he's had a better career than somebody like The Undertaker or Triple H after that incredible end of an era match at WrestleMania 28 would be an act of stupidity on your part, and point blank, you're an idiot for believing that. I mean, you can't say that Triple H's career is nothing compared to the career of Brock Lesnar, but you can say that Brock Lesnar's career is nothing compared to the career of Triple H. I mean, Triple H has done everything. Sure, he mightn't have beaten The Undertaker as many times as Shawn Michaels has, but the thing is, Triple H has done it, and he's done more besides. He's won multi-time championships, he's won against legends and Hall of Famers, he's had some of the best Hell in a Cell matches ever, and he's been there. He's been there long enough now to make the decision on what he wants to do with the rest of his wrestling career, and if it is, staying behind closed doors and working in an executive role with the WWE, you have to give him credit. I think this is long overdue with how many retirements, how many deaths we've seen over the last number of years. Maybe Triple H kind of wants to slow down. It seems like he's enjoying his executive role with the WWE, and you can't really argue the success of Triple H. Shawn Michaels was right when he referred to Triple H as being one of the best. But with the promo that was given by Paul Heyman and Brock Lesnar post SummerSlam, and Shawn Michaels giving a very emotional interview live from his home in San Antonio, and Shawn Michaels becoming very heavily involved with Triple H and Brock Lesnar, and Triple H as a whole and the entire WWE here recently, I refuse to believe that Triple H's wrestling career is over. You would think you would have somebody like Triple H go out as a winner, or go out, in one of the best fights of his life at a WrestleMania. I refuse to believe that Triple H's final match took place at a SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels' final match takes place at WrestleMania. I buy into the fact that we'll probably never see Shawn Michaels wrestle ever again. Although I'm one who believes we will see Shawn Michaels wrestle at some point in time down the road. I refuse to believe that that's it for Shawn Michaels. If this match were to have taken place at, let's say, WrestleMania 29, and Triple H would have tapped up to Brock Lesnar and then he turned around on the stage and waved goodbye to everybody, then I would believe and buy into the tweets that were given by the wrestlers 24 hours up to SummerSlam. Then I would buy into the fact that Triple H's wrestling career is over, because WrestleMania really is the stage where careers are finalized. But with the fact that Triple H has apparently now had his final match at SummerSlam, an event that really has had a lot of history involving Triple H. Triple H won the Intercontinental Championship from The Rock in one of the most incredible ladder matches of all time. He had an incredible three-way match with The Rock and Kurt Angle at SummerSlam 2000 for the WWE Championship. At SummerSlam 2002, he competed in the first match of Shawn Michaels in nearly 5 years. Triple H has had a lot of history with SummerSlam, but even with all that history going along with Triple H in this match with Brock Lesnar, and the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam being just recently celebrated, and Brock Lesnar versus Triple H being the main event, because it's not at a WrestleMania, I refuse to believe that Triple H's wrestling career is over, and you're never going to hear me say that Triple H's wrestling career is over, because it isn't. The promo that Brock Lesnar gave 24 hours after SummerSlam, referring to himself as the Lord and the Master of the WWE, implies either two things are going to happen. Either Triple H is going to come back and reclaim his position as the rightful King of Kings within the WWE, or The Undertaker is going to return by Survivor Series and put an end to Brock Lesnar's reign of terror he's been having ever since the night after WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar's brought the fight to John Cena, he's brought the fight to Triple H, and he's picked a fight with some of the biggest names in the industry. I will give Brock Lesnar credit for doing that, but what I will not give Brock Lesnar credit for is doing things or believing he's done things that he hasn't. He's not a multi-time WWE champion in the way of an 8 or 9-time champion like The Rock or John Cena. He hasn't done nearly as much as Triple H, so what gives him the right to refer to himself as one of the greatest of all time and the Lord and the Master of the WWE? He referred to himself as a lot of things in that promo. He referred to himself as the Lord and the Master of the WWE. He referred to himself as the new King of Kings. He referred to himself as one of the greatest of all time. That really implies to me that we are going to see a return of somebody who either we haven't seen in a long time, or somebody who has had a fight with Brock Lesnar in the past who wants to bring it to an end, and I really do believe that it's going to be either The Undertaker or Triple H who really puts an end to Brock Lesnar. If it's not Triple H inside a Hell in a Cell, it'll be The Undertaker by Survivor Series. You gotta believe it. The Undertaker's coming back in November, so really the only one formidable to put The Undertaker in the ring against, other than Kane at a WrestleMania, is going to be Brock Lesnar. And I really think that a victory over Brock Lesnar is what The Undertaker needs to come back with enough momentum to remain there as part of the storylines full time. And really right now there's nobody capable of matching the skills and the ability of the next big thing, Brock Lesnar, rather than The Undertaker. And I really want to see The Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar one more time, probably just as much or probably even more than I want to see a sequel to Brock Lesnar versus Triple H at the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam. The match was good. There were a lot of things about that match that really stood out. The brutality of the match, similar to the Extreme Rules match between Brock Lesnar and John Cena, it had a UFC-type feel to it with the moves of Brock Lesnar, the UFC-style trunks Brock Lesnar wore as his ring attire. Brock Lesnar locking Triple H in that very effective submission hold where he once again broke the arm of Triple H for the second time in 4 months. Really brought a UFC-type feel to the match. Triple H hitting Brock Lesnar with 2 separate pedigrees, kneeing Brock Lesnar in the stomach multi-times, really emphasizing on Brock Lesnar's UFC injury, bringing his UFC career and reign as UFC champion to an end. The emphasis on the UFC background of Brock Lesnar really added to the match and made it so spectacular. It was a great match, and how Brock Lesnar and Triple H never backed down from each other. At no point during that match was fantastic. The fact that there was no reluctancy, exemplified on the part of Triple H and Brock Lesnar, made this match that much more special and a very effective way of promoting and celebrating the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam. You couldn't have had a better main event. The SummerSlam promo of Brock Lesnar being the most inferior being in the professional wrestling industry was great. How they promoted Brock Lesnar and Triple H beginning back in May or June for SummerSlam gave it enough time to make this match be great and spectacular, and I really do give WWE credit and the writing team credit for putting together fantastic promos about who was simply the best. And, the conclusion of the match left us with a lot of unanswered questions, but I think we're going to get the answers to these questions by at least October or November, and we're going to reach the climax of the feud, because I refuse to believe that we have reached it with Brock Lesnar getting the better of Triple H and now leaving the WWE, vowing to never return again. We're going to see Brock Lesnar compete at some point in time down the road. The question is when. Either Hell in a Cell or Survivor Series is when I see Brock Lesnar competing again, and we're going to have to wait and see if my prediction turns out to be true. In addition to Brock Lesnar's victory over Triple H, we saw no championships, including the WWE World Championships, change hands. We saw the United States Championship change hands on YouTube, but I really don't count that as a pay-per-view title change. If you're talking in terms of a pay-per-view title change, we saw no title change hands on the actual pay-per-view. We saw the U.S. Championship change hands from Santino Marella to Antonio Cesaro, a new talent initiative superstar, on YouTube. How do you go from, having a U.S. Championship change hands on YouTube to having no title change hands on the actual pay-per-view? I understand the logic of having a title change hands on YouTube.com to have people tune into your YouTube channel. I understand the logic behind that. But how do you celebrate the 25th anniversary of SummerSlam after having a title change hands on YouTube to having no titles change hands on the portion of SummerSlam that you have to fucking pay for? I really don't understand that. I think that it was a huge downer for SummerSlam, and you would think at least one championship would change hands. Brock Lesnar versus Triple H was a good match, but I don't think it made up for having no titles change hands on the pay-per-view. We saw Sheamus and CM Punk retain their titles. We saw every champion who defended the title at SummerSlam change hands, and I hope we see several champions